Hello. Okay, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. It's the 7th installment in the Mission Impossible franchise, and the movie clocks in at around 2 hours and 40 minutes. I believe it's the longest Mission Impossible movie, and you really don't feel it because this movie is beautifully paced. Every scene, every character moment feels like it needs to be in the film, it needs to be in within the narrative. It flows beautifully, and I believe the length of this movie just really helps serve the story. All those character moments and scenes with sort of just different characters interacting really just helps add to the story and helps sort of really inject this momentum and energy into the movie that just keeps building and building and building until you get to the fantastic third act and its climax. And as you would come to expect with these movies, the action set pieces are just simply incredible. There's this one car chase scene that's in the trailers involving a yellow Mini. It's thrilling, but it's also very funny. I really dug the way in which they worked the humour into this one particular moment. There's humour throughout, which for me really does work, and Tom Cruise does a great job at delivering that humour as well. But this one particular scene, there's actually a few of them within the movie when it comes to the action set pieces that for me had this very kind of old-fashioned James Bond vibe to them. And I feel like the most recent Mission Impossibles have all sort of somewhat been inspired slightly by those old classic James Bonds with the Roger Moores, the Sean Connerys. And there's this one particular scene with the yellow Mini that just reminded me of For Your Eyes Only. And even, with the humour, I just felt like it had that sort of good old-fashioned James Bond vibe that took me back to being a kid again when I used to watch those movies over and over. And it was great. It was such an immersive experience, and it's because you can actually see the stunt work, the action actually happening within the frame. Like, there's very minimum CGI being used. When you see Tom Cruise doing a stunt, it's him actually doing it. And it just, as a result of that, it makes it a much more immersive experience and a much more fun and thrilling experience. And it is just simply great to see the sort of the craftsmanship and just the way in which they created these action scenes. It's simply fantastic. It's good old-fashioned filmmaking. And I've got to mention the scene with Tom Cruise on the bike. When he rides the bike off the cliff, off the mountain. It's been a long time since I've seen a moment in a movie that's given me goosebumps. And the sort of that feeling of excitement that I felt when watching that particular moment. I had a fucking grin like a Cheshire cat. And it was just, it just gave me goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. Just seeing Tom Cruise on the bike, you know what he's about to do. And what adds to the excitement and sort of, that thrilling sensation is that it's him on that bike and he's doing that stunt. And it just adds to the whole experience. It just helps, it just adds to the immersion. And it feels like an experience, like you're on this ride, you're on this journey with the characters as a result of just the way in which this film is crafted and just put together. You can feel the love and the passion behind it, and just, that one particular moment, again, taking me back to the good old-fashioned James Bond movies with Sean Connery and Roger Moore, where you've got the actual stunt actors doing the stunts, and it's simply beautiful. And the third act in this movie is just, the entire third act is just this one big, long mission, this one long scene of them on this mission. And it involves a train, it involves the bike, it's sort of structured into different pieces, and it's just the way in which they done it. And it's not just the third act, it's the entire movie. I really think they were very smart and clever in how they structured this story. Because this movie could have easily have derailed, it could have easily have slowed down, but just the way in which they structure the movie, with all the character moments, it just works beautifully. And the third act, it's just like you're on the edge of your seat for the entire moment, for the entire scene, and it's just the way in which it plays out is so fun, it's thrilling, and it's great. it's a fucking experience. And when it comes to negatives, do you know what? This was such a fucking fun and thrilling experience. You know, it felt like good old-fashioned cinema. You could feel the love, and it was just such an enjoyable ride that I feel bad really kind of talking about those little things that did kind of bug me. But, you know, it was very little because they never took me out of the movie. And a couple of those negatives I had were sort of around a couple of the new characters. The villain Gabriel, played by an Esai Morales, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Now, he was very good. I liked him in the role. But when it comes to his character and his history with Ethan Hunt, I just couldn't emotionally get invested into the character and that story and that aspect of the story. And there was a couple of other characters, new characters, that again, the same sort of thing, that I just couldn't really get emotionally invested into them. And as much as I dug the way in which they sort of structured this story and how it kind of wraps up as well, even though this is a part one, it still feels like half a story. But these are very minor gripes from me, and they really didn't take away from the experience that much at all. Okay, perhaps I needed a bit more when it came to certain aspects with the new characters. Overall, this was just simply a fantastic experience. Like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, I'm thinking one of very few fans of that franchise that really dug Dial of Destiny. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning does the same thing. It takes me back to being a child again, when I first fell in love with films and cinema and watching those old classic James Bond movies. They don't make action movies like this anymore, and this is an experience. If you can watch it in the cinema, please do. I highly recommend watching it in IMAX. It was fucking beautiful. And when it comes to action movies, this for me, Dead Reckoning, easily falls into the Mad Max, Fury Road, Die Hard, you know, those action iconic classic movies. For me, Dead Reckoning easily sits among the best when it comes to action movies. And just sort of going back briefly to the story, even though it does feel like half a story, I do think they did a really good job at wrapping up some of the certain characters' journeys by the end of the film that did feel satisfying. So there was a really good attempt at trying to make this experience feel like its own thing. But at the same time, you just can't help but feel, you know, this overall story is half a story. But there is that attempt at wrapping up certain characters' journeys and stories. And it felt, you know, it worked. It felt right. So yeah, that's my experience of Dead Reckoning Part 1. Highly recommend it. A couple of minor gripes when it comes to certain characters, mainly the new characters. But overall, this is such a fun, thrilling and immersive experience. And this is what film should be. This is what film is all about. And you can feel it. You can feel the love. You can feel the passion. I cannot wait for part 2. So, yeah. They are my thoughts, and I will be giving Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 a 9.5 out of 10. What did you guys think? Please let me know in the comments below. Did you hate it? Did you love it? Did you agree or disagree with anything I said? Let me know below and let's get a discussion going. And if you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. If you want to see future reviews and just general movie talk from a geek in Wales ramble on, then please hit that subscribe button. It will mean an awful lot to me. I do have a very late review coming for Elemental that I saw at an advanced secret screening about 2 weeks ago. So I'm looking forward to bringing you guys that, as well as then next week you've got Oppenheimer and Barbie releasing in the same damn bloody weekend. So yeah, I will have reviews for those. I cannot wait to check them out. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll be catching you guys soon.